Have you ever wondered why some men effortlessly command attention, drawing women in like a magnetic force, while others, seemingly nice and available, find themselves perpetually overlooked? It's a riddle that has baffled countless men, a secret whispered only among those who truly understand the deeper currents of human attraction. Forget everything you've been told about what makes a woman fall in love, because the truth is far more nuanced, far more potent, and frankly, a little darker than the mainstream advice suggests. This isn't about chasing. It's about becoming the irresistible force that women relentlessly pursue, not out of obligation, but out of an insatiable craving. What I'm about to unveil is not for the faint of heart, nor for the man content with being just another nice guy, caught in the illusion that constant validation, unwavering honesty, and predictable availability are the keys to a woman's heart. No, this journey is for the man who is ready to transcend the superficial, to operate on a primal, psychological level where you don't merely attract a woman, you become indelibly etched into her very being. You become the incessant thought she cannot silence, the burning curiosity she must satisfy, the complex riddle she finds herself replaying long after your physical presence has vanished. True psychological seduction isn't about donning a mask or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about attaining such a profound understanding of human behavior that your deliberate actions trigger her unconscious responses, her emotional reflexes, and her deeply buried fantasies. Consider this. Have you observed how the men who consistently keep women captivated are seldom the ones who try too hard? They aren't the ones sending incessant good morning texts or showering her with gifts in a desperate bid for appreciation. On the contrary, they are the architects of uncertainty, masters of the subtle dance between leaning in and pulling back, disrupting her established patterns with precision. This carefully calibrated confusion, this perfectly measured dose of unpredictability, is precisely what cultivates obsession. One of the most profound minds in the realm of seduction theory famously termed this intricate dance emotional pacing. Robert Greene, in his seminal work, The Art of Seduction, refers to it as strategic withdrawal. The underlying principle is elegantly simple yet devastatingly effective. You forge tension by offering her a tantalizing glimpse of what she desires, then you intentionally withdraw, disappearing for a duration long enough for her mind to become utterly consumed by thoughts of you. This is not manipulation in the vulgar sense. It is a sophisticated form of psychological craftsmanship. A woman's emotional landscape is not captivated by your constant presence. She falls in love because you intentionally create voids, spaces that her imagination instinctively rushes to fill. These are the gaps where her mind questions, wonders, and fantasizes about you. The man who can expertly trigger her imagination is the man who will inevitably dominate her emotional world. This is the fundamental truth that most men perpetually miss. They mistakenly equate consistency with security, yet in the volatile realm of attraction, consistency is the very definition of boredom, and predictability is the silent assassin of seduction. A woman inherently yearns for uncertainty to truly feel alive. Therefore, the man capable of orchestrating emotional unpredictability without veering into toxicity is the man to whom she will relentlessly return, time and time again. Let us now dissect a psychological principle that possesses the power to fundamentally transform every interaction you have with women: the intermittent reinforcement effect. This powerful concept originates from behavioral psychology and stands as one of the most potent drivers of addiction known to science. Extensive studies have unequivocally demonstrated that individuals, and women in particular, develop far greater obsession with a stimulus when the reward it offers is unpredictable. Think about the ubiquitous slot machine. If every single pull of the lever yielded a reward, boredom would quickly set in, and the allure would dissipate. However, when the reward manifests sporadically, randomly, and in unpredictable bursts of intense gratification, addiction takes root. This is the ingenious mechanism by which casinos amass billions, and it is precisely how you can emotionally hook a woman. When you translate this principle into the dynamics of dating, its application becomes remarkably clear. Sometimes you respond to her messages with immediate alacrity. At other times, you withhold any response whatsoever. Sometimes your demeanor is playful and overtly flirtatious. At other moments, you adopt a cool, even indifferent posture. This is not born of anger, nor is its purpose to inflict pain. Its true objective is to construct an intricate emotional rhythm, a nuanced emotional complexity, and it is this very rhythm that becomes profoundly addictive. Here lies the profound effectiveness of this approach. Women are not primarily captivated by what is merely nice. They are drawn to what is emotionally engaging. A man who masterfully employs emotional push-pull dynamics triggers the release of dopamine. And dopamine, for those unfamiliar, is the very neurochemical responsible for the sensation of addiction. When you expertly couple this potent chemical high with strategic moments of silence, with deliberate periods of ambiguity, you effectively train her mind to inextricably link your presence with intense emotional experiences. Let me be unequivocally clear. You do not need to possess immense wealth, towering height, or widespread fame. What you do need is an acute understanding of the intricate workings of her mind. Women are not seduced by cold logic. They are captivated through the powerful conduits of emotion, perception, and enduring mystery. And if you can artfully construct a psychological loop from which she simply cannot extricate herself, she will crave you in ways she cannot articulate, even to herself. Let me offer a tangible, real-world illustration of this principle in action. I once had a client, a quiet, introverted man, who had diligently pursued a particular woman for many months. He tried everything: flowers, elegant dinners, heartfelt texts, yet nothing seemed to yield the desired outcome. Then I offered him a singular piece of advice: disappear, coldly, out of nowhere, without explanation, without a trace of drama. Simply vanish. 3 days later, her phone erupted with frantic calls and texts, her voice brimming with pleas for his attention, desperate inquiries as to what she might have done wrong. Her mind, you see, was utterly incapable of processing this abrupt break in the established pattern. Why? Because when attention is a constant, unwavering presence, it quickly devolves into mere background noise. But when you suddenly and dramatically withdraw it, it metamorphoses into a profound vacuum. And a woman's emotional system, by its very design, abhors vacuums. She feels an inherent compulsion to fill that void with something. And when you are absent, when she doesn't possess you, she fills that void with relentless thoughts of you. This is not an act of cruelty. This is an astute understanding of fundamental human psychology. Now here is where the vast majority of men invariably falter. They hear this advice and immediately interpret it as an invitation to play games. But games, by their very nature, are predicated on fakery, and women possess an uncanny ability to discern the inauthentic. This approach is not about being fake, it is about being intentional, strategic, deeply masculine, grounded, and utterly calm in your inherent power. You do not merely react, you design the experience. This, in essence, is the very core of dark psychology and seduction. It is not about deception or pretense. It is about meticulously engineering experiences that draw her effortlessly into your unique frame, your distinct world, your compelling emotional atmosphere. When she becomes immersed in that space, she ceases to contemplate other men. She stops comparing you to anyone else because no one else can evoke within her that chaotic fire, that magnetic danger, that exhilarating emotional roller coaster that paradoxically makes her feel more alive than any semblance of stability ever could. And here is the crucial twist, the profound layer of understanding that magnifies the potency of all these principles. It transcends mere interaction with her. It hinges on the overarching frame you impose upon reality itself. Seduction, in its truest form, commences long before a single word ever leaves your lips. It originates with the intrinsic energy you radiate. In the lexicon of dark psychology, this is known as framing dominance. Framing dominance is the sophisticated art of controlling the lens through which others perceive and interpret reality. And here is the profound misconception that most men never grasp. Women do not simply fall for who you are. They fall for the captivating story you make them feel a part of. If your fundamental energy silently proclaims, "I am the prize, I am the mystery, you are entering my world," she will subconsciously recalibrate herself to align with that narrative. She will instinctively adjust her behavior, filter her expectations, and begin to crave your validation. Not because you explicitly demanded it, but because your dominant frame rendered it utterly irresistible. This explains why two different men can utter the identical words to a woman, yet she will feel an undeniable attraction for only one of them. One is perceived as just another man attempting to impress her. The other, however, is perceived as the very source of a magnetic, unpredictable experience. She doesn't merely desire him, she yearns to immerse herself in his energy. You cultivate this not through boisterous bragging or ostentatious displays, but by anchoring yourself in a deep, unshakable inner certainty. Women possess an innate ability to sense this. They instinctively feel when a man genuinely does not need them. And paradoxically, that is precisely when they begin to relentlessly pursue him. Because neediness, in its purest form, annihilates fantasy, and fantasy is the very lifeblood of seduction. Let us delve into another psychological technique that operates on a profoundly unconscious level: the implanted thought loop. This subtle yet extraordinarily powerful tactic borrows its essence from neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and represents one of the most sophisticated tools in the seducer's formidable arsenal. Here's its ingenious mechanism. Instead of overtly attempting to impress her, you artfully embed a specific thought into her mind, a thought designed to loop endlessly long after your conversation has concluded. For instance, you might lean in slightly, hold her gaze, and say something akin to, "Isn't it crazy how sometimes you meet someone and for no logical reason you just can't stop thinking about them?" You deliver these words as if it's merely a casual, random observation. However, what you are truly doing is planting a potent seed within her subconscious. Her subconscious mind then takes that thought and begins to inextricably associate it with you, because you were the one who articulated it. You were the one who introduced that concept at a moment when she was emotionally engaged with you. The human mind possesses an inherent tendency to attach such suggestions to the nearest available stimulus, which, in this case, is undeniably you. This is not hypnosis. It is a masterful form of emotional engineering. You are subtly guiding the trajectory of her inner dialogue without ever explicitly dictating what she should think. You are not instructing her to become obsessed with you. You are elegantly guiding her to wonder why she keeps thinking about you. This, my friends, is psychological elegance. This is dark seduction. Now let's explore the next profound layer of depth: reverse projection. This is a tactic where you subtly reflect her own hidden desires back to her, without ever making it overtly obvious. You become a mirror, yes, but a profoundly seductive one. A mirror that reveals to her the version of herself she secretly yearns to explore. For example, you would never utter a generic, trite phrase like, "You're so sexy." Every man says that, and it carries no weight. Instead, you might lower your voice slightly, lean in and say, "You know what I like about you." Then, after a deliberate pause, you add, perhaps with a mischievous glint in your eyes, "You pretend to be so innocent, but there's something a little wild in your eyes. I can see it, and I like it." Now observe her reaction with keen interest. What you have precisely accomplished is the awakening of a part of her that she diligently keeps hidden from the world. And when a woman feels genuinely seen, not merely for the facade she presents to the world, but for the profound secret fantasies she harbors, she forms a bond that transcends the intellectual. She bonds with her very soul. Because you are not simply another man attempting to flirt with her, you are the catalyst who unlocked something primal within her. And in the realm of psychology, the primal impulse invariably overrides the logical. This concept, in its deepest psychological roots, connects directly to Carl Jung's concept of shadow integration. Jung famously spoke about the shadow as the repressed, unacknowledged parts of ourselves. In women, this often includes elements of sexual hunger, untamed wildness, and exhilarating unpredictability. Society, in its relentless conditioning, teaches her to be composed, restrained, and proper. You, as the discerning seducer, extend an invitation for her to shed these inhibitions, to be utterly unfiltered. And that invitation, when delivered with precision and authenticity, is utterly irresistible. Now pay rapt attention, because what I am about to convey is truly next level. There exists a critical reason why most men consistently fail at seduction, even after diligently learning and attempting to apply these very techniques. It is because they attempt to apply them without genuine presence, without true embodiment. They resort to mere tricks, but their underlying energy betrays their desperation, rendering their efforts moot. You cannot genuinely fake stillness. You cannot convincingly fake true masculine polarity. This underscores the undeniable truth that your internal world, your inner state, matters infinitely more than the specific words you articulate. If your ultimate aim is to truly play with her mind, you must first unequivocally own your own. And this brings us to the profound concept of psychological dissonance. This is an incredibly powerful trigger within the intricate female brain. When your behavior deviates significantly from her preconceived expectations, her brain, quite literally, lights up. That very uncertainty prevents her from neatly categorizing you, from filing you away into a convenient mental box. This lack of easy classification compels her to pay heightened attention. She becomes hyper-aware of your every move, your every subtle cue. And that intensified attention in turn fuels the flames of attraction. Consider an example. In one moment you are warm, intensely playful, and thoroughly engaging with her. Then abruptly, you undergo a profound shift. You become serious, intensely focused, and begin to speak about something deeply profound, perhaps about mortality, or the very purpose of existence, or the raw ache of heartbreak. This dramatic tonal shift destabilizes her established perception of you. Suddenly, you are no longer merely the fun guy. You are revealed as a complex, multifaceted man, a man she simply cannot fully decipher. You embody the enigmatic allure of a storm, discreetly concealed beneath outwardly calm waters. And women, by their very nature, are irresistibly magnetized by such storms. The greatest seducers throughout recorded history shared this singular commonality. Figures like Casanova, the legendary Don Juan, and even contemporary seduction artists such as Zan Perrion and Nick Sparks. They did not achieve their legendary status through superficial tricks. They seduced through the masterful application of psychological contrast, through profound emotional gravity, by embodying both light and dark in precisely calibrated dosages. With them, a woman feels an elusive sense of safety, yet simultaneously an exhilarating excitement. She feels deeply desired, yet paradoxically never entirely in control. She feels empowered, yet intriguingly a little vulnerable. And that intoxicating cocktail, that carefully orchestrated emotional instability, is precisely what makes her utterly addicted. Because here is the profound truth that no one openly discusses. Addiction to a man does not originate from a simple feeling of love. It stems from volatility, from the exhilarating emotional spike of never quite knowing what will come next. And if you can consistently provide her with that, she will not require convincing. She will crave you with an unyielding intensity. She will fantasize about you incessantly. She will, ultimately, surrender to you. And all of this, every single facet of it, begins within the intricate landscape of her mind. There exists an even more subtle, yet profoundly powerful method of seduction that bypasses words entirely, that operates without touch, without a single text message. It is a way that penetrates her nervous system before her conscious mind even fully registers what is occurring. And it commences with non-verbal dominance. You enter a room, and the very first thing she instinctively feels is not your physical appearance or your meticulously chosen attire. It is your raw, undeniable energy. It is the unspoken language articulated by your very body. A man who truly comprehends this profound truth requires no pre-rehearsed lines. He possesses no need to prove his worth. He enters with a deliberate slowness, his shoulders relaxed and low, his chin steady, his gaze deeply grounded, not scanning the room nervously, but subtly owning it. Because here is the undeniable truth in the art of seduction. Posture is perception, and perception is power. Women are biologically hardwired to instinctively detect micro-signals of leadership and inherent security conveyed through body language. So when you enter a space radiating calm detachment and executing decisive, purposeful movements, she feels it deep within her gut. She may not consciously comprehend why she is suddenly alert, why her attention is drawn to you, but her body has already begun to subtly tune into your presence. This is precisely why eye contact, when wielded correctly, stands as one of the most psychologically intimate acts you can perform without physical touch. Most men either nervously avert eye contact or overdo it to the point of creepiness. The true seducer, however, employs it sparingly, strategically, and always from a profoundly grounded core. You look, then you subtly withdraw. You hold her gaze, then you blink slowly. You allow her to feel that she is being genuinely seen, acknowledged, but never dominated. That intricate tension, that charged space between your eyes and hers, becomes electrified with unspoken meaning. And here is where the interplay becomes even more fascinating. In the realm of dark psychology, there is a concept termed symbolic association. This is the process where the mind instinctively attaches profound meaning to things that logically bear no direct connection, but are nonetheless emotionally charged. You can leverage this powerful mechanism to condition her mind, to cause her to associate specific triggers with your very being. Allow me to illustrate with a concrete example. Imagine you consistently wear a particular cologne, one that is distinct, perhaps even rare. Every time she encounters you, every time she inhales that specific scent emanating from you, her body instinctively recalls and re-experiences the emotional energy of your presence. You never overtly mention it, you simply wear it consistently. After a sufficient number of emotionally resonant interactions, that particular scent transcends its mere olfactory nature. It becomes a potent symbol. And later, days, weeks, even months down the line, if she unexpectedly smells that same cologne on someone else, or even catches a faint trace of it in the ambient air, her body will involuntarily respond, and her mind will be drawn back to thoughts of you. This phenomenon is not rational. It is a profound form of emotional anchoring. This technique is not limited to sense. It operates equally effectively with specific pieces of music, distinctive phrases you commonly use, or even particular colors you frequently incorporate into your attire. The secret lies in the subtle, yet consistent repetition of a stimulus during emotionally intense moments. Emotional intensity, you see, is the ultimate glue. If you skillfully craft a moment of profound intimacy, exhilarating unpredictability, or intense passion, and you pair it with a specific symbol, her brain will inextricably fuse the two. You then become a mental shortcut, a loaded image, a potent emotional trigger. Let us take this understanding even further into another advanced concept within seduction psychology: calibrated emotional denial. Most men operate within emotional extremes. They either inundate a woman with an overwhelming flood of attention too quickly, or they abruptly withdraw completely, leaving her feeling abandoned. The true seducer, however, masters the art of selective emotional withholding. This does not imply completely shutting down or becoming aloof. It simply means you never grant her full, unwavering certainty about your feelings or intentions. Consider this scenario. She asks you directly, "Do you miss me?" Instead of offering a straightforward yes or no, which provides immediate certainty and dissipates tension, you pause deliberately, allow a subtle smile to grace your lips, and respond with an enigmatic, "What do you think?" Now, her mind, deprived of a direct answer, begins to spin. She instinctively searches for subtle signals. She meticulously replays past conversations in her mind, desperate to extract meaning. And that very investment, that mental and emotional effort she expends in deciphering your intent, inexorably transforms into attraction. Remember this crucial axiom: a woman does not fall for what she already definitively knows. She falls for what she is actively striving to figure out. This is precisely how you construct emotional tension loops. It is a psychological spiral, where each interaction you share leaves her with more compelling questions than definitive answers. Not because you are deliberately vague or evasive, but because you are inherently unpredictable, unclassifiable. She finds herself utterly unable to place you into a neat, convenient category. You are not merely a friend, nor solely a flirt, nor exclusively a challenge. You are all of these facets, and yet paradoxically, none of them completely. That elusive quality, that unclassifiable essence, is precisely what renders you unforgettable. And while we are exploring these profound dynamics, let us address the critical element of sexual tension without touch. Most men mistakenly conflate sexual energy with overt physical aggression or immediate physical advances. However, true, incandescent sexual tension is meticulously cultivated through restraint, through deliberate delay, through the subtle, masterful art of intensifying desire without immediately releasing it. You might sit intimately close to her, but you consciously resist the urge to lean in further. You allow your gaze to linger on her lips, but you refrain from initiating a kiss. You speak slowly, deliberately, but you intentionally leave sentences unfinished, allowing her mind to complete the thought. You create profound moments of silence in the very middle of a captivating story you are narrating. You make her wait, not out of cruelty or malicious intent, but because the human mind inherently eroticizes that which it cannot fully, immediately possess. The revered poet Rumi once penned the timeless wisdom, "Don't seek love, instead become the magnet to which love has no choice but to respond." And that profound sentiment encapsulates precisely what you are cultivating here. You do not chase excitement. You become the very container for it, the source from which it emanates. You do not initiate the sexual moment. You meticulously engineer the palpable tension that causes her to crave it with every fiber of her being. This is the powerful nexus where grounded presence converges with undeniable polarity. Masculine presence, in its essence, is grounded, rooted, deeply stable. It does not rush. It does not fidget nervously. It observes, it feels, it patiently waits. While feminine energy by its nature flows, changes, and reacts, you, as the masculine pole, remain still, and that very stillness creates a profound gravitational pull. A man who possesses the inherent capacity to hold sexual tension without collapsing into its immediate gratification becomes dangerously, irresistibly compelling. He is silently conveying to her, without uttering a single word, that he possesses profound control, not over her, but crucially over himself. And that unshakable self-mastery is precisely what makes her surrender. And now we arrive at one of the most provocative, almost forbidden techniques within the realm of dark seduction, emotional framing reversal. This ingenious strategy involves deliberately flipping the psychological script. Instead of you expending energy trying to impress her, you artfully position her as the one who is striving to win you. This technique is delicate and requires a foundation of genuine self-worth to be effective. Here's how it subtly unfolds. Instead of uttering a needy phrase like, "I hope you like me," you might, with playful detachment, state something like, "I'm still figuring out if you're my type." Deliver this not with arrogance, but with a light, almost teasing detachment. Immediately, you have reversed the inherent pressure. She instinctively feels the emotional imbalance you have skillfully introduced. She begins to subconsciously qualify herself. She starts to subtly, imperceptibly strive to earn your approval. And the very moment a woman begins to invest her energy in trying to win you, you have, by every measure, already won. This is an immutable law of seduction. Whoever is qualifying is chasing. The more intensely she attempts to prove something to you, the more profoundly psychologically invested she becomes. And the more deeply invested she becomes, the more emotionally open and receptive she becomes. And that profound emotional openness, that is your unequivocal gateway to influence, not because you overtly manipulated her, but because you masterfully orchestrated the entire experience. Because you understood the intricate workings of her mind far better than she herself does. And that, my friends, is the unmistakable mark of a true seducer. There exists a profound level of seduction that most men will, unfortunately, never attain. Not because it is deliberately hidden from them, but because it demands a mastery of something far more challenging and dangerous than a mere pickup line, the absolute mastery of your own mind. To truly seduce a woman by intricately playing with her thoughts is not about crude trickery or dishonest deception. It is about awakening the dormant parts of her psyche, the desires that no other man has ever dared to even brush against. It is about possessing the innate knowledge of how to meticulously shape emotional experiences, how to cultivate subtle yet undeniable tension, how to activate her deepest unspoken fantasies, all without ever feeling the need to explain your actions. And once you acquire this profound capability, you don't simply capture her fleeting attention. You take up permanent residence within her mind. You echo endlessly in her cherished memories. You become the potent symbol she finds utterly impossible to erase. Because ultimately, women do not remember the men who gave them everything effortlessly. They remember with vivid clarity the men who made them feel everything, the men who unapologetically disrupted their emotional patterns, the men who courageously challenged their very self-image, the men who compelled them to confront their own deepest, often unspoken desires in the stark mirror of self-reflection, forcing them to realize that they yearn for more intensity, more profound depth, more captivating mystery. That, my friends, is precisely where you come in. You are the man who seduces not merely with spoken words, but with the sheer force of your unyielding presence. You are the man who never begs for validation, but instead offers a psychological experience so compelling that it haunts her in the most exhilarating way imaginable. If you have journeyed with me this far, it signifies that you are fundamentally unlike the majority. You are one of the rare few men who possess the courage and the curiosity to venture beyond superficial advice, to truly explore the darker, more potent truths that underpin attraction and the intricate labyrinth of the human mind. Now allow yourself to truly envision something profound. What would your life unequivocally look like if you genuinely applied these principles? What transformative shift would occur if you ceased your relentless chasing and instead began effortlessly pulling her in with your strategic silence, your captivating mystery, your undeniable energy? What if women began to perceive you as the one enigmatic figure they simply cannot fully decipher? You now possess the comprehensive blueprint. The time has arrived to wield it with intention and mastery.